Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
The Organization of Zambians Abroad invites you to attend the Oza Zambia Independence event on Saturday, 28th of October, 2023 at Rivers Casino, 3000 South River Road, Des Plaines, Illinois 60018 in the greater metropolis of Chicago. This will take place from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Tickets are going at $120 online, featuring free dinner and cash bar. For more info, call Siddiq Gello on 678-851-6601. Let's get together and party.
Good morning, everybody from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to ZBTR TV. We do thank you for joining us today. Please tag a friend, let them know that we are live. Zambia National Building Society is engaging the diaspora, and they are on a USA tour. And we have an exciting, informative, engaging product information, a lot of things that you need to know. Those of you that have issues with bank accounts, this is your opportunity. All right, so you need to join us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ZBTR TV, and make sure that you subscribe and click the little button that tells you that the show is live. Okay, so we have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of information. Please tell a friend that ZBTR is live. And this morning, good afternoon, Zambia. Good evening, the Western Pacific in Australia. I know you're just about to go to bed, but thank you for staying with us because this is very important. All right, joining us today is Ms. Cynthia Mwila. She is the head of banking and mortgage at Zambia National Building Society, and she is part of the delegation of the Building Society management team who are touring the USA. And she's here today to discuss wide-ranging things. Ms. Mwila, welcome. You are on mute. We can't hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Do you remember that the last time you were here, it wasn't like this? It was on the phone. We couldn't see each other.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome to the US. And yesterday you did New York. We are not going to jump the gun here. So what we're talking about here is things people are already in motion. So firstly, whenever we have somebody who is here for the first time, so to speak, we are seeing her for the first time. Head of Banking and Mortgages, Zambia National Building Society. Tell us what you do. Tell us about yourself and what your job entails.
Okay, thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity. Really excited to be here. So as you mentioned, I'm the head of banking and mortgages at Zambia National Building Society. I basically look after the mortgage proposition and also the banking one. And I am one of the people that was very passionate about the diaspora proposition that we offer, because I'm a product of the diaspora. I like to say that. I lived in the UK. I grew up in the UK. 12 years ago, I decided to pack my bags, go home, and just really participate and be a Zambian living in Zambia. So for me, at a personal level, it's so important the work we're doing because I really see the opportunities, and I've experienced both ends. And of course, at a professional level, we're extending something for Zambians, and as Zambia National Building Society, we think that's really important. But I really want to just say this. I think one thing I've seen since the time I was living in the UK is that the diaspora networks are they're so organized, so much information, so much focus. commitment. You're driving projects in Zambia, in the US. So it's really commendable. And I think that perhaps at the time that I was living abroad, if I had that sort of support, I might have made different decisions. So even as I talk about the offering, I sometimes draw on my personal experiences, because I really think it resonates with people. Just really understanding some of the I wouldn't say wrong decisions, but perhaps delayed decisions that we make, some of the hesitation. So
Mm.
that's a summary of myself. Thank you.
And to your point, at times a lot of lack of information and misinformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is very important what your team has decided to do. Not everybody may know or may understand when we say ZNBS, okay? So ZNBS, of course, stands for Zambia National Building Societies. So who are ZNBS and what brings them to the US?
Okay. So ZNBS, so we use Zambia National Building Society, but we find that it's easier for a lot of people. ZNBS.
Mhm.
Um, we've been around 53 years. We were established by an act of parliament. So we're wholly government owned.
Mm.
And our mandate is to provide affordable housing solutions for Zambians. That
Okay.
is our core mandate. So we offer a range of products because we realize that customers also want a one-stop shop. So they don't want to come to you for one thing and have to go somewhere else. But really, at the heart of everything we do, it is to help Zambians own homes or
Mm.
properties, whether you're buying or building. And we came back a year ago and we said, look, this mandate is for Zambians. It doesn't say for Zambians in Zambia. So let's see how we can start um, innovating and offering products and services for Zambians who are abroad and they want to do something back in Zambia. So
Mm.
that's a little bit about ZNBS. Why are we here? Um, we saw an opportunity, really. We launched our diaspora proposition last year, a year ago.
Okay.
I don't know if you came to the Zambia Diaspora Conference in Livingston, but we launched our products there.
Okay.
And we said, look, it's a perfect opportunity. Since then, we've been offering mortgages in particular and other products to Zambians. So we have a growing portfolio, but we also said we want to go to where the Zambians are outside of
Exactly.
Zambia.
Mm.
We want to go and provide information, talk to you, give you opportunities to ask questions, to get the right information, because as you said, there's a lot of miscommunication. And already, just a couple of days we've been in the country, it's been very enlightening because we've really just gotten some feedback. And it's one thing to offer a product, but a
Yes.
product that speaks to the needs is what we're looking to do. So we
Mm.
have something on the ground and it's a fantastic offering, but we're continually looking how we can make the process more seamless. What do you need? What is it that we can improve on? So that's why we're here.
Excellent. So the theme of the tour, of course, as you have alluded to it, is diaspora mortgage and banking proposition. You've mentioned that this was launched at the Diaspora Conference, I believe, last year in Zambia, in Livingstone. So let's talk about these products that Zambia National Building Society is offering, which are tailor designed or designed specifically for the diaspora. That's a reason we are even having this discussion.
Absolutely.
So what are those products that you are offering?
Okay, great. So I think the first thing I want to talk
Mm.
about the mortgage. It's our flagship product at ZMBS. Um, but it's also the product that we started with for the diaspora when we launched. And that's where we see a lot of interest. And
Mm.
what I always say is it's very easy to come here and say, we have a product, give us your money, we'll invest it, and we'll give you returns. It is a very difficult conversation to say, we're here, we know you're working, we know your income is here, we know you can't bring it to Zambia, but we are willing to give you money. I think the two things are very different. And of course, we've been able to do both. But I think that's really the power of what we're doing. We're in a position where we can empower Zambians. So we do this through our mortgage product,
Okay.
and we have a mortgage for everyone, basically. So we do have on the market the most diverse mortgage offering that there is. With us, you can actually buy a property, which is what we call an outright purchase. So it can be complete. It can be a partially complete property that you want to take over, but we can finance a complete property. The one that is really the game changer is a construction mortgage.
Okay.
90%, I don't know if you know this, but 90% of properties that are owned in Zambia are through self-build, right? And this is largely a function of many things. It's quite expensive to buy a complete property. If you're building, you can do it to your specification in your time. Incremental building is what most Zambians do. So if you're not offering a construction mortgage, then you're not speaking to the majority of the Zambian people, in our view.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have our expertise is in construction. It is a much higher risk type of mortgage because you've got to understand it, you've got to monitor it, but it's what we do. So we can finance construction really from the ground up. So if you have bare land, we can finance it through a mortgage. If you want to buy bare land, we can also finance that. And then we can finance the mortgage to the construction to completion. So that's one of the things that we find is really, really popular.
Okay.
We also offer equity release mortgages, where you have a property in Zambia already and you want to be able to take out a mortgage so you can do other things. You don't have to build, you can put that in your business. We do home improvement mortgages. And also, if you already had a mortgage before you left Zambia and you've been servicing it, we can actually do a balance transfer. So that's the range of mortgage products that we offer. But within that, we focus very much on the customer value proposition. By that, we mean we're offering you mortgages, but we want mortgages that will add value to you. We want to make it easier. So I'll give you an example. If you take out a construction mortgage with us, you have the option to get a 90-day repayment holiday. So you're not paying anything for the first 90 days because we realize that you'll have a lot of commitments. And the way that works is we will then amortize the rest of the payments and spread it across the duration of the mortgage.
Okay.
So our mortgages go up to 15 years for the diaspora. And that is largely because we noted that our customers in the diaspora, they don't want the longer term mortgages. They see themselves paying it off usually between 5 and 10 years. In Zambia, we offer mortgages up to 30 years. But for the diaspora...
For the Zambians resident in Zambia.
Absolutely, yes. But, the markets are different. And before we launched this product, we did our research and most people said, I just need something 5 years and I'm good. So we said, look, instead of offering for 5 years, let's give a bit of flexibility and we extend it for 15 years. So you can get a 15-year mortgage with us. There's no limit on what you can borrow. The only two variables that we consider are your income, so affordability, and then, of course, the value of the property that you're going to build or buy, because that is a function, that's the collateral, that's the security part. In some instances where, for example, customers want to buy a particular property, but they want to borrow more and the value of the property is not sustained, they're able to give us additional security. So another property so that they can achieve their goals. So our mortgage offering is really quite diverse. I could be here all day.
Yes, I noticed that. But we're just going to scratch the surface so that we get everybody to come to Chicago, Sacramento, Dallas, Atlanta. We want you to go out to the meetings, meet Miss Mwila and her team everywhere. There's going to be. Let me take you. Let's go back to something very important on the product, especially. You've only talked about the mortgage. What documentation are you looking for in this situation? Because you mentioned something that caught my attention: bare land. Even if I just have land, you can give me a loan?
Yes, we can. We can. Absolutely. So that's something that we introduced about a year ago because we said, look, not everyone can get to the point where you say window level, then we'll finance. We want to partner with you from the very first opportunity, if that is what you need. So we're able to do that. I talked about the value proposition. We're also able, through our partners, to connect you to developers who will build for you from the ground up. But I don't want to stray away from your question. You asked me what documentation.
Yes.
So I will summarize it a little bit. But basically, the first thing is obviously the KYC, which I won't go into, the usual, the ID, the proof of residence. We put that aside. We want to understand what your employment status is.
Okay.
We want to understand your income. So typically, we might look at your contract, for example. You might give us a letter of introduction. We will look at that so that we appreciate the fact that, are you employed? Are you self-employed? The good thing about Zambia National Building Society is we recognize that people have multiple income streams. So we're not very rigid to say, no, we just want you to be employed and we'll only look at one.
Okay.
What we're looking at is, can we verify that income? Can we see it through the bank account? If we can do it, the likelihood is we can use that in the computation that we use to assess what you qualify for. So income and affordability. Affordability is different to income because you might have obligations already. So we will take those into consideration. So those are two basic things. Then from the property that you want to buy or build, we start to look at the collateral. Basically, does it have a certificate of title? We need that. If not, I believe we're the only institution that also lends against occupancy licenses. Those are the ones that are issued from the council. So we do accept those.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the question came up. We had some engagements yesterday, and that question came up. Through the mortgage, we will not finance land that is not on title or that does not have an occupancy license at this point in time.
So occupancy, sorry for interrupting you. Occupancy license is something the council gives you before you get the title?
In the past, or in the recent past, it is like a title. It's just the certificate of title is issued by the Ministry of Lands.
Yes.
And the occupancy license is issued by the council. So we see that as being very common, particularly outside of Lusaka, where the majority of land is not on title as yet. However, we have seen a shift. Even the councils are now pushing towards getting certificate of title. And that's in line with, I think, the government's initiative of the land titling exercise. So we are going to see where we're going forward. We're starting to see a shift towards most of the land moving towards being on title. And I think that would be better for everyone because it's a lot easier to validate ownership. Because you may find, for example, there's particularly we see this a lot in informal ownership land arrangements. Someone has customary law and customary land, and you might be given some sort of documentation of some sort, and then you find that perhaps there's a title somewhere else and there's someone owns that land. So we believe that the most secure way is obviously through a certificate of title. But we do appreciate that we do have this challenge currently in Zambia where not all the land is on title. So we've accommodated. Yeah.
How do you deal with the customary land issue?
Very good one. So we have a product in Zambia called the Building Materials Loan. It's very different. It's not a securitized product, so it's got different features and benefits. So it's an unsecured loan. That really helps us to make an offering to our customers who have traditional land And we see it as a hybrid mortgage that one day it might convert into a mortgage.
Okay.
For the diaspora at the moment, we only offer mortgages,
Okay.
not the building materials
Not
loan.
building materials too. That
No.
very important clarification there. I'm glad you said that. Here's something else before we get to the elephant in the house. And this, you know, the elephant in the house. Don't say
You
it.
know
Don't
the
say
elephants.
it. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you this, Miss Mwila. A lot of people sent me this question, but there's one thing I want you to deal with before you move on. I want to, what's the word? I want to sort of build my more assets, that I want to acquire more assets. I've got this property here and I want to build more assets. How does, I want to get a mortgage. I want to use this as collateral. How does that work?
So just to clarify, you want to get a mortgage
Mhm.
and you're looking to use the property you're buying
I
as
already own, yes, as
you
the
already
collateral.
own.
Mm.
Okay, fantastic. So in that case, we can do an equity release mortgage for you. So you
Okay.
already own property and you're looking to acquire other property. So what we do is we look at the value of that property. If it doesn't have any encumbrances already, then we will look at the complete value. Otherwise, we will then have to restructure and say, if you've already got a mortgage, you may need to refinance that, and then we can add on top of that. So you are able to do that. And the thing about equity release, you can invest those funds in other property. You can also invest funds elsewhere. So it does give you that flexibility. There
Okay.
are times, yeah, I was going to
Ye-
say there are times when customers do come to us and say they want to finance it a particular way. And then we look at their total portfolio and we're
Yes.
able to advise them to say, actually, if you do it this way, it might work out better for you.
You in your answer, you've mentioned something. So I may come to you for you to do an equity. I hope this is correct language. To do an equity valuation on a property I already own, and I may not necessarily have to get a mortgage from me. But of course, you do that for a fee, I presume.
So you would come to us because you have a property.
Mm-hmm.
We will do the valuation. We have an in-house valuation department. Um, and then from there, you would get a mortgage with us to release that to equity. So basically, we'll lend against that property so that we
Okay.
will give you the financing to do whatever it is that you need to do. I hope
All right.
that's clear.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right. Before we get to the elephant in the house, here we shall talk about this in details. But let's do this tonight. Ms. Mwila and the team are actually in Washington, D.C. You can see that information there. And you can call that number, the DMV, that's what we call that area. You can call that number. The meeting is at 6 p.m. Let me just read out the venue here, Ms. Mwila. The meeting is at 6 p.m. at the Courtyard Marriott, 8506 Fenton Street, Silver Spring. Okay, the people in DC, that's the meeting is at 6 p.m. tonight. Tonight, we are DC. Clement and your team, please go there. Here we are just scratching the surface. When you go to these meetings, it's more interactive. You'll be given more information, all those things that you need to know, and everything else. Okay. So DC tonight, 6 p.m. We shall share information about other places, other cities where they are going to as the conversation continues. Okay, now let's address the elephant in the room. Interest rate.
Yes.
Why is
Very.
your interest rate is an issue on these loans, Ms. Mwila, and I know that you know this. So
Yeah.
talk about the interest rate. And a lot of diaspora people are scared or stay away. They're like, this is, talk about the interest rate.
Okay. So thank you for that. We were waiting for that one and we're ready. Um Look, when you look at the different economies, especially in developed economies,
Mm,
you are really looking at completely different economic environment. So when you start looking at things like interest rate, it really starts from what I call the base rate. So I think here it's the Federal Reserve rate. In Zambia, we look at the monetary policy rate. That is the starting point. I won't go into the technicalities of how institutions do it, but from a market perspective,
mm.
if you look at the rate here, I believe, I don't know, the Federal Reserve rate is it about three? I believe somewhere there.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
those watching can help us. Ronald, what's the
I believe it's
federal?
somewhere around three. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at the UK, the rate has started to go up, and it's we came from a background of it being at point something, and then over the last few years it has increased. In Zambia, the monetary policy rate is 10%, right?
Okay.
It's 10%. So you're really starting from, it's not even comparable before you get to the financial institutions. Um, and then, of course, from a financial institution perspective, they will tend to price for the risk of lending the money in any market, whether it's the UK, the US. There is an element that goes into the interest rates.
Okay.
And then, of course, then there's the margin, the actual cost of doing business, right? So that goes on top. So if you're starting from a 10% and you're starting from a 3%, there's already that disparity.
Mm.
So you will find generally across board, you will find that in African markets compared to more developed markets, that interest rates are much higher. That's one we cannot get away from, and we do accept, right? So
Okay.
in Zambia, the mortgage market is relatively in its infancy. We are the most experienced because we started providing mortgages post independence for Zambians.
Mm.
Um, but when you look at the average rate in the market, it is around, recently it did come down, I must say, but you're still looking around 25%, somewhere there. There will be some that are lower, some that are slightly higher, but that is the average rate in the market. As
Mm-hmm.
ZN, thank you for that, 5.4%. Thank you. But as ZNBS, we offer the lowest rate in the market at 16%. It is a standard variable rate that it
Mm.
means it can go up, it can come down. What is a little bit different about us, we're not a commercial bank, so we do not price according to MPR, the monetary policy rate. So
Okay.
every time it increases, we don't necessarily increase. I'm not
Mm.
saying we won't increase. What I'm saying is you will see less volatility in our pricing because we do not follow that methodology. So recently it went up from 9.5% to 10%. We are
Mm.
still at 16%, for
Mm.
example.
Okay.
And our mandate drives our decision making. But of course, we are a financial institution. And for us to sustain providing mortgages, it has to be viable. So there may be times when, if there is a huge market shift, we may need to move somewhat. But what I'm saying is, you could find possibly it's 2 years, you could find not at all. I needed to put that in context. We do not track the monetary policy rate. So you
Okay.
might find that our rate will be consistent for quite some time. So our
Mm.
rate starts at 16%. I say
Okay.
start because construction mortgages are higher risk, so they're a little bit more expensive. They are 18%. In
Mm.
our market, a lot of financiers will not even touch construction mortgages
Why?
because they're higher risk. The risk
What?
of you've got to um, the risk of default is a lot higher. You can lend today
Mm.
for someone to build, and maybe they decide to do something else. It requires expertise. It requires monitoring and valuation, which is very costly. It is an expensive product to run. But for us, it's our bread and butter.
I totally agree.
It's our bread and butter. So we have found ways and means to make it more sustainable. So we have the expertise, we can manage it. We don't contract external valuers to do everything. We do have some, but we have our own in-house valuation team. So that helps us to also manage the costs. So we're able to play in this space because we realize, like I said, 90% of Zambians build, they don't buy.
They don't
So
buy.
if we're not offering that product, then what are we doing? So it's our area of expertise. So we're happy to offer it, but we do need to appreciate that it's higher risk. So we price for that risk marginally. So it's 18%.
My brother Tai says it makes a lot of sense the way you compare the economies. So you're doing a good job.
Thank you. But I want to say also that every time I present, you will notice I have a slide and I say you cannot compare apples with pears. Right? Those are decisions that we all make. They're decisions I made in the UK that delayed me owning a property for about 15 years because I was constantly comparing a 4 and a 5 to a 20. What is a better comparison? Return on your investment, right? A better measure. Another simple measure, if you had $1,000 today and you can afford that, if you have $1,000 disposable income and you extended, let's say you get a 15-year mortgage, what type of property would it get you? And what is your return? And if I do the same in Zambia, maybe that would get me around a property valued at about 1.4 million kwacha. What does that look like? That is a typically mid-middle income property, 3 bedrooms in an area. You can put a tenant in, you'll get your rental income. So that is my $1,000 over 15 years. $1,000. I did that in the UK, and when I converted back, I couldn't even get a bed sit with the same values. So what I'm trying to say is, I think the starting point is you've got to appreciate what is it that you want to do and why. Are you looking to invest in Zambia because you see yourself coming home one day, like me? I never thought it would happen, but it did. You want a retirement home? Are you looking for investment properties? Because when you're abroad and in the US in particular, you're earning in hard currency.
That's
so
right.
Regardless of the fluctuation that you might see, you have an opportunity to be able to acquire property at a much lower cost, much better value, and you can manage that and build your portfolio. So why would you get property with an interest rates are higher? The other reality, and for me, the other elephant in the room is it is sometimes very difficult to get a mortgage in the US or the UK. I lived in the UK for many years. I had a good income, but it was a challenge because when you're looking at the property prices in London and it's £300,000, and then you're asked to put in 20% as your deposit, that's where the differences are. But there is an opportunity. So I would encourage you out there listening, don't compare apples with pears. Don't just look at the rate. I think it's a very perhaps superficial comparison. A better comparison, look at your return on investment. What does that look like? What you're paying versus the value that you're getting. But also the fact that in developing markets, you will see property appreciates. Why? Because you find today there's an area that is bare land, nothing there. Tomorrow there's a ShopRite, if you know ShopRite. I don't know what, or Walmart, the equivalent. It's
Walmart.
And all of a sudden, your price in property has increased by 40%. Literally, you don't see that kind of movement in developed markets. They tend to be relatively stable. So you've also got to consider that, because if it's an investment property, it could be that you buy at a lower rate, a lower value, and you sell it in a couple of years. Or it could be that you're just really looking at the longer term. So that's my answer. Please don't
Excellent.
compare apples with
It's very clear. We shall take a commercial break here and come back as we continue this conversation with Ms. Cynthia Mwila from Zambia National Building Society.
The Organization of Zambians Abroad invites you to attend the Oza Zambia Independence event on Saturday, 28th of October, 2023 at Rivers Casino, 3000 South River Road, Des Plaines, Illinois 60018 in the greater metropolis of Chicago. This will take place from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Tickets are going at $120 online, featuring free dinner and cash bar. For more info, call Siddiq Gello on 678-851-6601. Let's get together and party.
Hi, everyone. You're watching ZBTR TV. Our guest today is Ms. Cynthia Mwila. She's the head of banking and mortgages, and she's discussing the Zambia National Building Society USA tour. Before we get into, I would like you to touch a little bit on on the banking sector, just very, very briefly. But before we do that, I want us to zero into what is going on here. So tonight, you are in Washington, D.C., 6 p.m., okay? And then on Wednesday, September 24th, no, not September 24th, that's a mistake. September 27th. I was typing, I made a mistake, everybody. That's an error.
So tomorrow we're in Chicago.
Oh, tomorrow in Chicago. Yes,
Chicago.
yes, Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, my apologies. My mind it's Jimmy Katuta's fault.
May I make a clarification? We're in Chicago tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We are available. We are doing a presentation at 11 hours or 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay.
And then there's a high tea for the ladies that we've been invited to, so we'll be there as well.
Okay,
it's the
cool.
same. Yeah. So tomorrow we are in Chicago, so you were right. Just the timing, we're there from 11 to 1. So it would be great if people can come and join us.
Okay. So that's very important. Okay. Thanks for that correction. So Chicago is 11 a.m. And then from Chicago, I think on Wednesday, the next meeting is Wednesday in Sacramento. There are 2 meetings on Wednesday. So Sacramento, Wednesday, September 27th at 6 p.m. Please call that number there, 916-912-0651 for the venue information and details. On Wednesday, they are going to be in my village in Dallas. Wednesday, 27th at Dallas. Please call that number there. There are 3 contacts. I'm just putting one number so that we all just have you know who to call and where to go and where to go. So Wednesday, Dallas, 6 p.m. That's the number to call. And then on the 29th, which is Friday, they are going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, and that is the number to call over there. All right. So tonight, Washington, D.C., tomorrow, Chicago, like she has clarified, please, it's 11 a.m. and then they are going to join you for that tea party that is going on over there. Okay, so a little bit of what you're saying, okay? People are watching and they're still saying they are coming to see you, Miss Mwila, all right?
Please.
She said, yeah, Sikelo says, looking forward tomorrow in Chicago. Ronald in Dallas says he's still, even if he's watching, he's still looking forward to come and see you, to come and see the team that is coming. Cletus in New York, thank you, very valuable information. And Brenda says, good morning, looking forward to meeting with you next week and learning about the services you are offering. That is, that's my, my sister also here in Dallas. Okay, Our Lady President in Pennsylvania. Stella lives in Pennsylvania, but she says she's coming to Washington, D.C. to see you.
Fantastic.
You see that? So The people are coming. They are eager. They would like to see. We feel good when you come to see us. We want to see you. We want to hang out with you and to talk about a lot of other things. So everybody, thanks for watching. And let me not forget about my Mufulira friend. Jimmy says he's watching from Zambia. Very
Thank
proud of
you.
you, ZNBS. And there are a lot of other people who are watching here. Of course, everybody else. Okay, so there's also your job, your official designation is head banking and mortgages, which means you don't just deal with mortgages. Talk to us about banking, because that's one of the challenges that diaspora people face, having lived in the diaspora yourself, opening an account. Let's talk about that.
Okay, thank you for that. So we are able to open an account for you. We have various accounts. So we have savings accounts. We've also developed a product specifically that we thought that people in the diaspora would be interested in, who want to save in particular. Because when we look at the rates here, again, I was told probably return on money, you're looking at around 3% when you're looking at USD. And right now, Zambia, you're seeing a lot of opportunity around investments, right? So when you look at the yields on treasury bonds and government bonds, they're quite good. And we recognize that, and there's a lot of interest. But as Zambia National Building Society, we also said, look, not everybody wants to invest for that longer term, but they want to participate in the upside that we're currently seeing in the market. Yes. And going forward, obviously, without going into the technicalities too much, but in terms, when you look at the government bonds, for example, you've seen that the rates have been very attractive in the last couple of years, where the government really hasn't been able to go to the external market as much. But with the restructuring that we're all happy about, because in the long term it will benefit Zambians and the country, the appetite to borrow on the internal market will be reduced. So therefore, there's an expectation that if you look at the bonds and the treasury bills, over a period of time, we're expecting that there will be a reduction in those rates. So what we come in to do is to say, look, we want to offer an alternative where it's almost like a hybrid. You want to save, you want to get good returns for your money, but we can participate in some of the upside that we're seeing in the government bonds and the treasury bills. So we launched a product called the Flexi Deposit product. There's nothing like it on the market. I know I'm a good salesperson, but really there's nothing like it on the market. And I'll tell you why. Because it really touches on both sides of saving, but also on borrowing. So this product allows you to invest. So it's like a fixed deposit product. I don't know what you call it in this market, but fixed deposit, we would fix the funds for like a year and give you a higher return because you can't access those funds. Okay. But with us, you can choose 12 months, which is 1 year, up to 36 months, which is 3 years. So you have the option of getting a longer term savings product at a better rate. So the way we work is that we look at the government bond rates and we look at the treasury bill rates, and we come up with an average rate between the two, depending on the amount you're saving and the term that you want to save for. We will then give you a product that has a higher interest rate, a higher return than a normal fixed deposit or a normal savings account in Zambia. So I don't like to give rates because there's so many variables, and it's dependent on the market, it's dependent on how much, but I'll give you an indication. You can be looking at a rate of around 13% right now. Could be higher, could be slightly less. It depends. So when you're looking at the return and you're comparing a 3% and that, there is an upside to it. Okay. And you can choose when you get your interest. Do you want it monthly? Do you want it quarterly, biannually, annually? That we do. You can also choose to get your interest upfront for 12 months only. So we give you the interest in advance and you go and do something else with it. But what is really interesting about this product, we've looked back, because remember, I keep saying our core mandate is mortgages.
Okay.
We have structured a product that allows you to save, but the more you save, so if you have a lump sum, it helps you reduce your interest rate, right, on your mortgage if you have a mortgage with us. So I'll give an example. If you are saving 300,000 kwacha and in a flexi deposit and you have a mortgage with us, we will calculate, there is a calculation, and we'll pass on the benefit of that saving so that you can opt to reduce your mortgage interest rate. That's just an example. And it's really accessible. I mean, the minimum is 20,000 kwacha, which here is not uh, it's not a huge amount if you're earning in hard currency in dollars, but it allows you flexibility. You can save, you can reduce your mortgage, so you can really achieve quite a number of things. But of course, we have other products.
Okay.
And I know the time is not there for us to be able to go into.
No, let's not talk about everything. That's
Yeah.
the reason people need to show up tonight, tomorrow,
Yes,
Wednesday,
sure.
Friday. So you see, yeah, everybody around Indiana, they are saying they are coming to Chicago tonight or tomorrow. Looking
Fantastic.
forward to, yeah. And you know, it's always nice when you have your young sister watching and she supports what you're doing, you know. That's my baby sister. She says very
Oh, wow.
informative. We'll come and see you when you get back.
We'll be very happy to meet you. Yes.
Okay, here's a good one from Fred. Before I go to a question from Canada, what is the minimum to open a personal business account?
Okay, so for a personal account, you will not believe, in terms of the minimum, we're just asking you to activate your account, which is like a 20 equivalent of a $20, and your account is activated. Once we will open it and you activate it, then you can start saving. So that is very accessible. And the same on the business account. It's really just to activate the account. So there isn't where we have the minimums in that regard is like where you have the flexi deposit product, because for us to give you better rates, then we need to really have that threshold so that we differentiate you from someone who's just doing ordinary savings, for example.
Okay. Mosala in Canada, the one who asked the big elephant question about interest rate, he sends me another question to ask if you have foreclosures to recover money from construction defaults.
I like that question. It's very interesting. Okay, so when you're in the mortgage business, there is always that element. There's always going to be that risk factor. So yes, to summarize in short, there is, and there are, let's call a spade, there are foreclosures that happen across the industry. But because we are mandated to provide housing, to us, it is the very last alternative, right? So we are going to sit down with you, we're going to dialogue with you. It's only at the point where there are no other options that you will start to see issues around foreclosure. No one likes to do it. It is an expensive business to do. It takes very long. It's not in anyone's interest. So as much as possible, we try to work with the customer. If the customer is struggling, we'll try to see, can we restructure? Can we give them, for example, that period, whether it's the 3 months, to try and see if they can reorganize their finances. So it is there. We do have some properties. We can go on our website. You can actually see some properties that you can buy. But it's really the very last thing. And I think when you compare us, you will see that we have relatively fewer properties that we foreclose on, simply because we do try to engage as much as possible before that is an option.
Excellent. So there's one, you and I did talk about this behind the scenes, the information I'm going to put out here, okay? Both Derek and Patricia are saying, can you have Zoom for those who can't attend? Are there any plans to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, Derek, unfortunately, the team is leaving out a large segment of the diaspora community. they had planned for one virtual meeting to reach more cities.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and I think the points are noted, and I want to start answering that question back to front a little bit because before we got here, I think we tried to engage a lot with the networks and some of the presidents to gauge the appetite for us to come here.
Okay.
And we started off with just 2 or 3 locations. And then after that feedback, it was overwhelming, and we said, "Look, we can't actually not extend this." So, and that's why half the team is not coming to Dallas because for us, in the time we're only here for 10 days. In the
Mm.
time that we are here, we've decided to split ourselves so that we can have a bit more reach. So I'm going to Sacramento, the other team's going to Dallas, so that we can see as many people as possible. So the intention was in person. We are always able to arrange for a virtual uh, meeting. We're happy to do that. In fact, I'll give you an example. We'll have one this afternoon for New York, simply because we were in New York and because of
Mhm.
the UN General Assembly, the feedback was like, look, guys, we want to come, but we have all these engagements relating to the same event. So we were not able to participate. So we have one for New York at
Okay.
2 p.m. Perhaps I'll share with you the details. You're welcome to join. But we're actually happy. It's easier for us, obviously, to do this through weather networks because then we can reach more people. Please just reach out to us. We're very happy to organize virtual meetings. Even we're here until the 30th, and we're on the go. But even as we get back, it's what we do. We're happy to do it. This is not a one-stop for us. This is our first time coming here. We want to do more of this, but even as we go back, we are going to be able to follow up and have these virtual meetings. And I was saying to you, just how committed are we? I was in New York. I didn't even see the Statue of Liberty. It was much more. Can you imagine my first time in New York? I just waved from a distance because we're here to talk to the Zambians. I'm in DC today. I may not even see the White House. I'm
No,
in
but
Chicago.
Stella, make sure you take her to the White House. She cannot come to Washington, D.C. without going to the White House, the Capitol, and everything else.
I will try.
I'm putting my sister Stella on the spot to take you to the White
Please,
House.
Stella, call me. I will try. But what we're trying to say is it
Mhm.
is so important for us to speak to you. That's why
Yes.
I'm really encouraging. If it's possible, please do come and see us just to show how committed we are. I am here with my managing director. She's on the tours. We're everywhere together because she is so passionate about it. She really didn't want to just not play a role in this. We're here with the director as well, and the manager of mortgages. So there are 4 of us, and
Mm.
we're here because we know it's important. And some of the conversations, sometimes when you're in person, certain things come out. We've also taken note and taken feedback. So
Yes.
we do appreciate that there are Zambians everywhere, and we may not be able to reach you in the 10 days. I've never seen so many flights in my life, but I am so I don't think I really slept. I'm still jet lagged, but every time I get to another city, there's a different time zone.
There's
So
a
I'm
different time zone. Yeah.
having
Welcome
6
to the
countries in
US.
one country, but I am really excited, really
Excellent.
excited, and we hope to
Mm.
do this again soon. Yeah.
Okay, Washington, D.C., here's the flyer for you tonight, 6 p.m., the Courtyard Marriott, 8506 Fenton Street, Silver Springs. I'm going to be a little biased here, Miss Mwila. I'm going to do this. The Dallas one, since I live in Dallas. Okay. But Dallas here, it's at Holiday Inn at 4355 Beltway Drive, Addison. That's where we're going to be. You can call Nelly, Stephen, Fred. And the Houston people also, I understand their association president is involved in this. Okay, thank you so much. And it's been very informative like everybody else is saying, they are still coming to the meetings, even if you are here. Okay.
Please. We'd love to meet you.
They are still coming to the meetings, even if you are here. And we hope to see you soon. Let me just very quickly do this. Where is that? For those of you who would like to get in touch, here is the email address. I just picked one, Ms. Mwila. I just picked one.
Okay.
I know there are two. You can get in touch. That's the email address that you can write to or contact Esther Katongo, and they'll be able to give you a lot of information. Exciting discussion. Thank you for taking the time. And I believe everybody will be, the Chicago people, she'll be there tomorrow with the team. Tonight in Washington, D.C., Wednesday, Dallas, Sacramento, Friday, Atlanta, and then it will end there. Thank you, Ms. Mwila. Have a great and successful tour.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Excellent.
you so much.
All right. All right, everybody. That was our show for today. And please take time to participate in these events. It's very important. A lot of us, we haven't talked about a lot of things. I think it's just better you go to the meeting and tell her, you know, you've had bad experiences with some of these things and you'd like to do something different. And they will be very glad to help you and to work with you and to show you some of these things. All right, everybody, that was our show for today. Have a great weekend.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.